In a controversial move that has drawn significant international condemnation, Thailand has reportedly deported over 40 Uyghur asylum seekers back to China, a decision that rights advocates fear could result in severe human rights abuses for the individuals involved. The deportation, which took place early Thursday morning, followed a prolonged detention of these Uyghurs who had fled China seeking refuge from persecution. The Uyghurs, part of a larger group of approximately 300 who escaped from China's Xinjiang region in 2014, had been held in Thailand for over a decade. The Thai authorities previously faced backlash for a similar deportation in 2015 when more than 100 Uyghurs were sent back to China, with subsequent reports indicating that none were heard from again. Phil Robertson, director of Asia Human Rights and Labor Advocates, remarked Thai officials involved in this forced return using blacked-out trucks and a barrage of lying denials have the blood of these Uyghur men on their hands. Despite warnings from various human rights organizations and requests from U.S. officials, including newly confirmed Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who had urged Thailand not to proceed with the deportation, the Thai government went ahead with the action. Reports indicate that vehicles with blacked-out windows left an immigration detention center in Bangkok, eventually leading to an unscheduled flight to Xinjiang. The deportation has raised alarms among human rights advocates who argue that these men now face a heightened risk of torture, imprisonment, or even death in China. Amnesty International's China director Sarah Brooks condemned the deportation, calling it unimaginably cruel and asserting that the Thai government had ignored international obligations by not adhering to the principle of non-refoulement, which prohibits returning individuals to countries where they face serious threats to their safety. Brooks emphasized the dire conditions these Uyghurs faced during their detention in Thailand and the severe health issues many of them suffer from, exacerbated by years of confinement without adequate medical care. In response to the situation, the Thai National Police Chief confirmed the deportation, stating that the individuals involved were Chinese nationals who had entered Thailand illegally. The Chinese Ministry of Public Security echoed this sentiment, asserting that the deportation was carried out in accordance with both Thai and Chinese laws while denying allegations of human rights abuses against Uyghurs in Xinjiang. Critics within Thailand have expressed outrage over the government's decision, with opposition lawmakers questioning the moral implications of such actions. Elaine Pearson, Asia director at Human Rights Watch, stated, "The deportation by Thailand constitutes a blatant violation of Thailand's obligations under domestic and international laws. The situation is further complicated by Thailand's recent election to the UN Human Rights Council, raising questions about its commitment to human rights standards. As the world watches these developments unfold, the implications of Thailand's actions could resonate far beyond its borders. The situation highlights the growing tensions surrounding human rights issues in China and the international community's response to such challenges. With ongoing reports of systematic abuses against Uyghurs in China, including forced detentions and cultural suppression, the future of the remaining Uyghur detainees in Thailand remains uncertain as calls for accountability and protection continue to grow." In conclusion, the deportation of these Uyghurs marks a critical juncture in Thailand's human rights landscape, prompting renewed scrutiny of its policies and international commitments. As global attention shifts to the fate of these individuals, it is evident that the ramifications of this decision will likely influence both regional dynamics and the broader discourse around human rights in the context of international relations with China. The unfolding situation serves as a poignant reminder of the delicate balance between national sovereignty and the protection of fundamental human rights. In a dramatic development that has the potential to reshape trade relations and consumer prices across North America, former President Donald Trump announced via his social media platform Truth Social that tariffs on goods imported from Mexico and Canada will go into effect next week. Scheduled for implementation on March 4, the tariffs, which Trump had previously delayed following discussions with leaders from both countries, are now set to escalate tensions with America's two largest trading partners. This move also includes an additional 10% tariff on imports from China, which will coincide with the same date. Trump's rhetoric surrounding the tariffs is steeped in a narrative of national security as he accused Mexico and Canada of allowing illegal drugs to flood into the United States. "We cannot allow this scourge to continue to harm the USA," Trump stated, asserting that these tariffs are a necessary measure until drug trafficking significantly decreases. The announcement has already cast a shadow over the global economy, stirring concerns among consumers about rising prices and potential inflation. Analysts warn that the automotive sector, heavily reliant on cross-border trade with Canada and Mexico, could be especially hard hit if these tariffs are enacted. The implications of Trump's tariff announcement extend beyond immediate economic concerns, potentially igniting a new chapter in U.S. Canada-Mexico relations that have been fraught with tension since the renegotiation of NAFTA. According to the Associated Press, the anticipation of escalating tariffs has already sent shockwaves through various markets, with industry stakeholders bracing for the fallout. While some consumers may not yet feel the effects, the broader economy could see significant repercussions as supply chains adjust to new costs. Meanwhile, across the Pacific, China's Fujian province has launched an ambitious initiative aimed at attracting Taiwanese professionals and businesses. In a bid to bolster economic ties and foster deeper integration, Fujian's government unveiled a series of measures targeting the tech, medical, and media sectors. These proposals include financial incentives such as annual subsidies for Taiwanese graduates who choose to work in industries like electric vehicle battery production and biopharmaceuticals. This move represents a continuation of China's strategy to draw talent from Taiwan, emphasizing Fujian's geographical and cultural proximity to the island. Despite the geopolitical complexities surrounding the relations between China and Taiwan, reactions from Taiwanese citizens have varied. Many express a pragmatic view, focusing on the economic benefits rather than the political implications. This sentiment reflects a broader trend among consumers in regions affected by international trade disputes, as seen in the case of Tesla buyers in China. Even as geopolitical tensions rise due to tariffs and political maneuvering, many Chinese consumers remain unfazed by the political affiliations of Tesla's founder Elon Musk. "I personally don't pay much attention to politics," shared a Tesla owner in Beijing, underscoring a common perspective among consumers who prioritize brand loyalty and product quality over political affiliations. With Tesla's sales in China continuing to grow despite challenges in other markets, it appears that consumer preferences may override the complexities of international trade dynamics. As these developments unfold, the global landscape of trade and economics is poised for significant shifts. The intertwined fates of U.S., Canadian, and Mexican economies amidst the backdrop of rising tariffs alongside China's strategic maneuvers to attract Taiwanese talent suggest that the coming months will be critical. Stakeholders across various sectors will need to stay vigilant as they navigate the repercussions of these evolving geopolitical and economic landscapes. Since the bursting of China's real estate bubble in mid-2021, concerns have mounted regarding the future trajectory of the Chinese economy, drawing parallels to Japan's experience in the 1990s. In a comprehensive analysis by Alicia Garcia Herrero and Jianwei Su, published by Bruegel, the authors delve into the structural similarities and differences between the two nations, raising critical questions about whether China is on a path to replicate Japan's lost decade. The backdrop of these comparisons is stark. Japan's economy, which once surged at a remarkable growth rate of 14% in 2007, faced a significant slowdown, with growth rates plummeting to 6% by 2019. The situation worsened in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, leading to a mere 5% growth in official statistics, which adjusted for inflation could be even lower. Similarly, China, which has enjoyed rapid economic expansion over the past 2 decades, is now grappling with a slowdown that raises alarms reminiscent of Japan's post-bubble era. Garcia Herrero and Su highlight that both economies share notable macroeconomic imbalances characterized by low private consumption and high savings rates. In the case of China, the savings ratio is even higher than Japan's during its economic peak. The authors point out that low consumer spending coupled with excess savings allows for high levels of investment without adequate domestic demand, a scenario that leads to trade surpluses and increased protectionist measures from other countries, particularly the United States. Initial responses to their respective economic crises were also strikingly similar. Japan hesitated to ease monetary policy after its bubble burst, opting instead to stimulate external demand through manufacturing expansion. China appears to be following suit with efforts to ramp up manufacturing and research and development. Despite the resulting trade surpluses leading to friction with trade partners. However, the authors note significant distinctions between the two economies. China, being a developing nation compared to Japan's status in the 1990s, still possesses considerable potential for economic convergence. Additionally, China's geopolitical clout and military standing present a different landscape for international relations and economic strategy. While Japan faced economic containment primarily through trade, China finds itself navigating a complex web of technological and military challenges in its relations with the U.S. The report also examines the savings investment patterns that have shaped both economies. In Japan, high fixed asset investment rates dropped sharply in the 1990s, while China had a highly aggressive investment growth rate post-WTO accession in 2001, only to see a significant slowdown in recent years, particularly in its real estate sector. This dual decline raises concerns about a hard landing for China, particularly due to the substantial debts accrued by local governments. As both nations have faced similar deflationary pressures, the authors argue that a transition from an investment-driven to a consumption-driven economy is critical. Japan's experience saw falling savings rates during its economic downturn due to declining fiscal revenues and deflation, a trend China has yet to mirror fully as it continues to maintain high savings levels despite slowing growth. China's ongoing reliance on manufacturing exports as a means to counterbalance its economic slowdown echoes Japan's past strategies but may not provide the same level of success today. The authors point out that the U.S. has adopted a more comprehensive containment strategy towards China, encompassing both economic and military dimensions, which differs from its historical approach to Japan. The report concludes by emphasizing that while China exhibits several patterns that resemble Japan's economic trajectory, key differences may offer it an alternative path. Despite the challenges posed by a high savings rate and low private consumption, China's advancements in technology and innovation provide a potential buffer against the pitfalls that led Japan into prolonged stagnation. As China navigates this complex landscape, the question remains whether it can pivot away from an over-reliance on investment and manufacturing, thus avoiding the fate of Japan's lost decade. Continued monitoring will be essential as the global economic environment evolves, with implications not just for China but for the broader international community. Tensions in the Taiwan Strait have escalated dramatically as Taiwan condemned China's recent military exercises, which involved shooting drills conducted approximately 40 nautical miles off its southwestern coast. This latest round of military activity, which includes the presence of Chinese warships and aircraft, has raised alarms in Taipei, where officials have repeatedly denounced Beijing's increasing assertiveness in the region. On February 26, 2025, the Taiwanese Ministry of National Defense reported a significant uptick in Chinese military presence, with 45 aircraft and 14 naval vessels detected in the vicinity. Alarmingly, 34 of these military assets reportedly crossed into Taiwan's air and maritime territorial claims. In a statement reflecting the heightened concerns, Taiwan's foreign ministry asserted China is the biggest troublemaker for regional peace and stability and the sole and greatest threat to peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait and the Indo-Pacific region. The drills come on the heels of additional provocations, including the incursion of 4 Chinese Coast Guard ships into Taiwan's waters near Kinmen Island, prompting Taiwan to deploy its own vessels to escort the intruders away. This pattern of assertive maneuvers reflects a continued strategy by China, which considers Taiwan a breakaway province and has not ruled out the use of force to achieve reunification. In response to Taiwan's military preparation and perceived provocations, Chinese officials have ramped up their rhetoric. Wu Qian, a spokesperson for China's Ministry of National Defense, issued stark warnings claiming, "We will come and get you sooner or later." This statement was made in the context of Taiwan's Hanquan military exercises, which are designed to simulate defense scenarios against potential Chinese aggression. Wu further alleged that Taiwan's government, led by the Democratic Progressive Party (DPP), was miscalculating by seeking U.S. support for independence and engaging in risky and provocative activities. The tensions have been exacerbated by a broader geopolitical backdrop, with the U.S. playing a significant role in the dynamics of cross-strait relations. China has accused the United States of using Taiwan to contain its rise, while Taiwan's government seeks to strengthen its defenses with U.S. military support. The U.S. has reiterated its commitment to Taiwan's defense, further complicating the delicate balance of power in the region. Taiwan's actions, including the recent detection of a Chinese-owned vessel tampering with an undersea cable, have also been met with skepticism from Beijing, which accused Taiwan of exaggerating events for political gain. The Chinese state media characterized Taiwan's claims as political manipulation, reflecting the strained relationship and the distrust that characterizes interactions between the two sides. As the situation develops, analysts are closely monitoring how these military exercises and aggressive posturing will affect regional stability and international relations. The ongoing cycle of threats and counter-threats raises questions about the future of cross-strait relations and the potential for conflict. Looking ahead, the international community is likely to watch for any changes in military posturing from both Taiwan and China, as well as the response from the United States. The strategic implications of these actions will be critical in shaping the security landscape in the Indo-Pacific, where the stakes are high and the potential for miscalculation remains a constant concern. Tensions in the Indo-Pacific region have escalated recently as China's People's Liberation Army (PLA) conducted live-fire naval drills in the Tasman Sea, off the southeastern coast of Australia. These maneuvers are seen as a culmination of years of maritime disputes and a direct challenge to the strategic interests of Australia and its allies, particularly in light of Australia's increasing military presence in the South China Sea and the Taiwan Strait. The backdrop to these developments is China's extensive territorial claims in the South China Sea, which are contested by several Southeast Asian nations, including the Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia, and Brunei. The situation in the Taiwan Strait is even more sensitive, with Beijing regarding Taiwan as a breakaway province that must be reunited with the mainland by force if necessary. In this context, the United States has been actively asserting its freedom of navigation rights in the strait, an effort supported by allies like Australia, Germany, and Canada. Australia's expanding naval and aerial capabilities are viewed as a commitment to safeguarding Indo-Pacific security amid rising Chinese influence. While Australia does not have any direct territorial disputes with China, its actions reflect a broader alignment with Western interests in countering China's assertiveness. This backdrop of heightened military activity came to the forefront in a recent Senate estimates hearing, where Australian Foreign Minister Penny Wong accused the opposition of engaging in gunboat diplomacy amid political attacks on the government's handling of national security. Wong's remarks followed the unannounced arrival of 3 Chinese warships in the Great Australian Bight, which coincided with the live-fire exercises in the Tasman Sea. She criticized the coalition's response as politicizing a serious issue, stating, "Such rhetoric does not make Australia safer." The live-fire drills themselves sparked significant safety concerns. Reports indicated that a Virgin Australia flight approaching the area was warned over radio by Chinese ships that a live-fire exercise was already in progress. Consequently, the aircraft was forced to alter its course, prompting Air Services Australia to issue a hazard alert that affected numerous commercial flights in the vicinity. Wong emphasized that the lack of prior notification from China about the drills was not only disruptive but also dangerous, as it diverged from established international norms that typically require advance notice of military exercises. Australia's Defence Chief Admiral David Johnston suggested that the Chinese flotilla may be accompanied by a nuclear submarine, adding another layer of complexity to the situation. The presence of the New Zealand Navy frigate Te Kaha, which was monitoring the Chinese vessels, highlighted regional concerns about the implications of such military activities. In diplomatic efforts to address these tensions, Wang met with her Chinese counterpart Wang Yi in South Africa. In their discussions, she conveyed Australia's concerns regarding the conduct of the live-fire drills, emphasizing that it did not meet the expectations of safety and communication that Australia holds for military exercises in the region. The recent developments reflect not only the ongoing maritime tensions in the Indo-Pacific but also the significant geopolitical shifts that are influencing regional security dynamics. As Australia seeks to strengthen its alliances and enhance its military readiness, the question remains: how will China respond to these perceived provocations? And what impact will this have on the broader landscape of international relations in the region? The coming months will be crucial in determining the trajectory of Australia-China relations and the stability of the Indo-Pacific as a whole.